Now today I've got something very special, and it's a Landcruiser 79 series, which has got the 1VD FTV engine, which is a 4.5 turbo diesel engine, right? The problem with this vehicle is that it has got a DPF malfunction, right? If you look inside the dashboard, it's going to be showing that DPF light, and they tried regeneration by pressing the button, and they also tried forced regeneration using the diagnostic tool, but that would fail. It would then show a check engine light momentarily after. So what they've done here is they've taken off the terminal, and for now it seems the check engine light has gone away, but after a bit of drive the check engine light is going to illuminate. So this one has been imported from Australia, and they come with a diesel particle filter system, and the issue is a malfunction has happened, and this is what we are going to be sorting out. So it has been brought to us so that we pretty much convert it to non-DPF, right? So I know a lot of people who watch my videos are people who are probably trying to buy this vehicle, right? Or possibly they've just bought that vehicle and they're trying to understand some of the problems that these vehicles have, or probably you have the vehicle, right? But there's a funny light that is showing inside your dash, and it just doesn't make sense to you, or you just put it on a diagnostic machine and you saw that it's talking about diesel particle filter, and all of that doesn't make any sense to you, and you're trying to get to the bottom of it to understand exactly what is going on, right? So in this video, I'm gonna try to be I'm going to try to pack it with as much information as I can in these few minutes that I have. Pack it with as much information as I can so that you fully understand what is going on, so that you fully find the best solution, right? That's going to work for you 100%, right? So I'm going to start from the top and treat you like you're a noob. You've never heard about this DPF thing, right? And it's the first time that you're hearing about it, right? So pretty much what a DPF is it's a system of emission that is being implemented on these vehicles, right? On this Landcruiser 79 series. And this particular one was imported from Australia. Now we are in Africa, to be specific, we're actually in Zimbabwe. The story here is that we have similar Landcruisers, right, that we assemble here in Africa, right? And you'd find out that they do not come with an emission system. They do not come with a DPF whatsoever. The ones that you see being produced in your first world countries like Australia, Japan, or UK or America, you are going to find them coming with a diesel particle filter. Now, the point of that is to limit the amount of carbon footprint that gets into the atmosphere, right? So it's located on your exhaust, and it's filtering any kind of black soot that might be produced by the vehicle, right? Now, vehicles tend to produce black soot, right? Especially when they are not doing very well, right? When the engine is not doing very well, it's going to produce black soot. So that black soot is being limited, is being restricted by the existence of a diesel particle filter, which is located onto the exhaust, right? Now, I'll tell you that the way that these DPFs have been made, they've been made in such a way that they are supposed to last the lifetime of the vehicle, right? And it's not something that you're supposed to buy every day, like you're buying bread. It's not something that you're supposed to buy all the time that you service the vehicle. Because if you've done your research, you may have already found that these DPFs are pretty much expensive, right? So how they work is they've been made in such a way that they're supposed to last the lifetime of the vehicle. But unfortunately, they fail at some point, right? Now, my job today is because I know there are some people who are on their third DPF, right? And this is something that I wouldn't wish for it to happen to you, because at that point, you're going to start hating these vehicles. You're going to start hating anything that has got a DPF, right? My job is to help you in such a way that that doesn't happen to you, okay? So you have to, I don't know if you have to grab a pen or whatever, I don't know. But this is something that you need to pay attention to, because at the end of the day, you likely lose your asset or lose a lot of money if you don't pay good attention to this, right? So let's talk about why these DPFs fail, right? I think this is very much important because obviously you want to avoid a situation where the DPF fails. That's number one. Number two, some of you guys watching this video, and this I've seen a lot, you try many solutions, right? You try your regeneration, you try you even buy a brand new DPF, but still that same DPF comes to fail, right? Now the reason why that happens is because you haven't fully understood what has caused that DPF to fail in the first place. And I'm gonna touch this part because it's a very important part of the conversation, which a lot of people tend to ignore. But at the end of the day, they find themselves back with those same problems over and over again, right? So there are three basic reasons why you're going to see your DPF fail. Three main reasons, right? The first one, let me say four. Maybe for this particular Landcruiser, we have seen that probably four than three. The first one being your driving habit, right? So pretty much these vehicles with DPFs in general, they favor somebody who drives them over a longer distance or over a longer period of time. Why? Because they allow that vehicle to do a process called passive regeneration, right? It's a self-cleaning process that it initiates on its own to clean whatever that would have blocked the DPF, right? So if you're using this car for a short distance of time, if you're using this vehicle for let's say you live 6 kilometers away from your office and that's what you actually daily, right? So you're not giving it enough time, because 6 kilometers away, that's going to take you less than 5 minutes. 5 minutes or less than 20 minutes, depending on the traffic, right? So you're not going to give that vehicle enough time to do its self-cleaning process, that passive regeneration that it requires. So what it means is, at the end of the day, your vehicle is going to build up soot in that DPF and is just going to clog up. That's what usually happens. And it will get to a point where even if you try to do your regeneration, when you go to your dealer, you try to do your regeneration, it's going to fail simply because the DPF is no longer recoverable, right? So that's number one. That's what causes those DPFs to fail. So they pretty much favor somebody who uses them over a longer distance, like somebody who drives at least 40 kilometers, at least maybe once or twice a week or something like that, because then you give it enough time, right, to do that cleaning process, right? So that's number one. Number two, the second thing that causes these DPFs to fail is the quality of fuel that you're using, right? And I see this particularly affecting people in third world countries, right? So I'll tell you that in these third world countries, you're going to find that sometimes fuel is scarce. You can't find fuel, right? There are fuel shortages, and because there are fuel shortages, you've got black market fuel. Now, with black market fuel, you don't know how these guys are handling their fuel. You don't know their methods of trying to create exponential profits. You don't know exactly what they're doing with that fuel, right? So what ends up happening is you put it in your Landcruiser burns that fuel with contaminants, and it passes out emissions which have got contaminants, which then stick the DPF. Over a period of time, not so long, that DPF is going to become completely irrecoverable. You are now faced with a choice that you have to buy a brand new DPF. In fact, you won't have a choice anyway, right? Because you'd have tried all things, regeneration and so forth, and none of them will work because that DPF has been completely destroyed by the contaminants that has become stuck inside that DPF. Now, the reason why is because the manufacturer, the person who made this DPF, did not take into account that you're going to put horrible kind of fuel, right? Now, I'm not saying that in third world countries that's where you only see fuel that would have been not of the best quality. You'd find out that even some of you guys who buy these Landcruisers, right, you're using them in your farms, and Once you're using them in your farms, you've got containers, jerry cans, and so forth and so forth. And sometimes those jerry cans, you put petrol, you put paraffin, you put all kinds of things in those jerry cans, and then you put your diesel in there as well, right? At the point that you want to use it, for diesel. So sometimes you create a situation of contaminants by how you're handling that fuel, right? That's why I usually tell people to always use traditional reputable service stations, right? People that you have always known to have the best quality of diesel when you are running vehicles with diesel particle filter systems, because at the end of the day, if you're not looking at the quality of fuel that is getting into your tank, at the end of the day, that may really affect your DPF in the long run, right? So that's reason number 2 that causes those DPFs to fail. The next reason why these DPFs fail is as a result of, I'll just say this, it's failing air fuel mixtures within your engine, right? So what I mean by this is, let's say your turbo is on its way out, right? Usually when a turbo is on its way out, it's going to be putting less air in the engine. And what's going to happen is that when it's putting less air in the engine, there's going to be a situation of black soot that's going to arise, right? Or sometimes, let's say your injectors are failing, right? You've got an injector that is malfunctioning, that closes late. That's again going to create a situation where more fuel is getting into the engine than is required, and again that's going to create more soot, right? So when more soot is being created, remember your vehicle, your DPF has got its own self-cleaning mechanism, right? It's been tuned to work in a certain way, right? So your vehicle is now producing so much soot to a point that that self-cleaning process, right, is unable to cope with the excessive amount of soot that your vehicle is producing. So that's the third reason why you see those DPFs fail. And it's not only just turbo and engine only that turbo and injectors only that cause that will then have an effect on the turbo. But sometimes, let's say you've got a situation where your turbo is oiling into the exhaust. Obviously that oil is going to flow downstream and it's just going to get into the DPF. A situation where your EGR valve probably is stuck open. So what that means is that when your turbo is trying to compress your intake manifold, you're seeing a situation of obviously the air fuel mixture is not right, therefore creating excess soot. So we see those being the issues that cause your air fuel mixtures to fail, thus causing the DPF to be clogged to a point that it cannot be recovered, right? And then the last reason, and we've seen this being a problem on these Land Cruisers, particularly these Land Cruisers. You see, these Land Cruisers come with an after treatment injector. It's an injector which is focused, which simply sprays diesel into the exhaust as an after treatment process. That diesel goes into the DPF and it causes the whatever that would be stuck inside the DPF to start burning, right? Now you can imagine what would happen. Let's say that injector starts fails to open. Obviously the EC is commanding it to regenerate, but then that's not happening, right? So then that becomes a problem with the DPF. Some of these Land Cruisers will come, especially on a 200 series, they come with 2 DPFs. So we normally see one bank which has got an extremely high soot concentration than the other. It's just an indication that that injector is not working. An injector is not working as it should. So those are the 4 reasons why you see your DPF failing, right? And now let's go to the solution, right? Now, remember what I said earlier. I think I hinted it before, where I said that your solution is going to depend on what has caused your DPF to fail. So let's say, for example, your DPF has failed because of failing air fuel mixtures, probably because of a turbo, probably because of a malfunctioning injector, right? You rush and you buy a brand new DPF. That's not going to solve your problem, okay? You want to first of all figure out what has caused your DPF to fail, because if you just rush to do one thing, you might end up losing a lot of money, right? So let me go through the solutions, and this is how I recommend that you tackle this problem. So the first way is to go through a process called regeneration, right? This is where you go to your mechanic. They can connect their diagnostic tool. They initiate a process called forced regeneration, and the vehicle start to rev itself and trying to clean whatever that is inside the DPF, right? That is the first, and it's probably the cheapest immediate solution, right? This is definitely going to work if your DPF hasn't reached a point of where it cannot be recovered, right? And when this has been done, when this has successfully been done, all those lights will go away and the car will perform as it should, right? Now, remember what I said, that you need to figure out what has caused your DPF to fail. If it was as a result of your driving habit, going forward, right, you need to correct how you drive. You need to start taking it on highway runs from time to time, right? If it was as a result of probably at your farm or wherever you were using fuel which was not of the best quality, you need to use the best quality of fuel that you can find, right? So then the next solution, let's say that regeneration, you've done that regeneration and still it's not working, or probably after a few days the light comes back on and now you've got a problem with the DPF. So usually what that means is that probably your DPF is arrived at a point where it cannot be recovered, right? And at this point, according to the manuals, according to the dealers, at this point, this is the time where you are supposed to replace that DPF. And remember what I said, before you even think about replacing a DPF, first of all, you want to try to figure out what has caused that DPF to fail in the first place. Because at the end of the day, you'll be wasting money, right? And in terms of this solution, I know, again, you can look at cleaning that DPF. I know there are some companies which use pressure systems to flush out the DPF. That can work, but I pretty much put it under the regeneration process, because after they've done that, when they've put the DPF back, they're still going to need to regenerate the vehicle so that it relearns the DPF and it starts working again as it should, right? Again, that can work, right? So when all that has failed, the next thing, like I said, is you're being told to buy a brand new DPF. Now, I usually don't encourage people, especially in third world countries like ourselves, to quickly go and buy a brand new DPF, because I know that the quality of fuel that you guys are using is not of the best quality, and you're still going to wind up back with the problem of the DPF, right? Now, whilst this can work, buying a brand new DPF, obviously for you guys who are in your first world countries, if you buy a brand new DPF and you monitor how the kind of fuel you use and how you drive, I think you shouldn't have a problem, and you make sure that your vehicle is performing as well as you should, your turbo is working fine, your injectors are working fine. I think you should be fine, right? Going forward, right? But for guys in third world countries, I wouldn't recommend you guys to go ahead with this solution, because obviously you're still going to have the same problems as you are already using fuel which is not of the best quality, right? So then I will then propose for you a third solution, which is what we implement here at the DPF team, which is converting that vehicle to non-DPF, right? That's exactly what we did on this Landcruiser 79 series, right? So remember what I said at the beginning of this video, right? Already we are manufacturing vehicles like this which do not have DPFs in the first place. Now, the only reason why we import these vehicles from Australia and wherever is because it's actually a lot cheaper than buying the ones that we are making, right? That's most of the times. It's actually a lot cheaper to import a similar vehicle from the UK than the ones that we are making in Africa. They're bloody expensive. That's sometimes, right? You find out that they're expensive. But the downside of having brought that in, you find out that it is equipped with a diesel particle filter system which fails, right? So pretty much we can do a conversion on that vehicle, simply eliminate that DPF system on the exhaust, and change the electronics so that it becomes similar to the one that is being manufactured in South Africa, for example, right? The same similar Land Cruisers that are being manufactured in South Africa do not come with this DPF system, right? So the question that you ask me is, okay, so what are the benefits? Well, there are a couple of benefits that I'll tell you. The first one is that you're going to see that your vehicle is going to improve in terms of its performance. It's going to feel a lot more responsive. It's going to feel the turbo is going to be far much happier, right? Because of the restriction that would have gone out of the exhaust, of the exhaust, right? So that's going to translate into better power, right? It's also going to translate into better fuel economy, because remember what I talked about, that these vehicles tend to from time to time as you're driving, they enter into a mode of a self-cleaning process, right? And that self-cleaning process uses fuel. Remember, I told you that it's got an after treatment injector which squirts diesel into the exhaust. Simply because it would have been converted to non-DPF, it no longer does that. So that will also translate into an improvement in your fuel consumption. And then the third benefit is that you're going to see that components of your engine are going to last longer. What do I mean by this? Now, because of that restriction which is on the exhaust, it creates so much back pressure which affects the turbo, which usually affects also the engine. So just because you don't have that back pressure, that means your turbo is going to be far much happier and your engine is going to be far much happier. Even other things like your EGR valves will not particularly give you much of problems, because you were saying that that restriction which was on the exhaust has been eliminated, right? That's the third reason. And then the final benefit is that this solution comes with a lifetime guarantee. Once we have done it for you, this is pretty much a bulletproof solution, right? You're not going to have DPF problems again, right? Once it has been done, you're not going to talk about DPF problems ever again. Now, obviously, this third solution is not available to guys who are in your first world countries, because pretty much this is illegal, right? I understand that in your countries, modifying an exhaust is actually illegal, so this becomes a problem in your country, especially if you are attaching an emission system, right? But for us when in a country like ourselves, or most of these developing countries, this is a pretty much solution that is available. In fact, we are already manufacturing vehicles without DPFs, right? So pretty much those are the benefits that you're going to enjoy. So I'm going to show you how the vehicle is going to look once we have done that conversion, and pretty much it's going to feel amazing. So you're going to see that the check lights and the DPF light are not going to show, and if you double tap the odometer button, it's going to write DPF 0, as you can see, right? No more DPF related limp mode, and this car is just going to feel amazing. Even how it runs, you're going to feel that it really wants to go, right? So if you're having a DPF problem with this Land Cruiser, all you just have to do is to contact the numbers that you're looking at on the screen, right? Now, it doesn't matter exactly where you are, whether you are in our country, whether you're in Zimbabwe or out of Zimbabwe, as long as you can just contact the numbers on the screen, we should be able to make a solution for you, okay? Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this enlightening and useful. If you've got any questions, you can send a message on the numbers, or you can even put them in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more stories of how we make performance a reality.